Hey everyone. So I think today's topic might be of some deep, detailed interest to quite a few of you out there. Now, we are talking today, am I going the right direction? We're talking today about 1099 versus W-2. This is really quite a big topic. And for many, many, many people, this can be rather concerning, rather questioning. We're not quite sure. Should there be a 1099? Should there be a W-2? Which way can I go? Now, I'm going to talk about this from a couple of different perspectives. So the first one being the business owner's perspective, which of course, that is what Tax Goddess does. We work with tax strategy for business owners. The second one, we're going to be talking about from the perspective of the staff member, the team members. So which one's better for them, 1099 or W-2, and in what circumstances. And of course, we're going to be going over this list. Now, this probably has to be one of my favorite list images that I've seen in a really long time because I believe this is nice. It's clear. It's really easy to understand and to help people balance which way is this person a 1099 or are they really a W-2? Now, I do want to preface today's entire conversation by stating that this is a hot, burning hot, top of the line issue for the IRS. You can even see it being a very highly divisive issue, California being one of the most divisive states on this from that standpoint. Very long story short, California has effectively made it that unless you are an actor somewhere in the acting industry, you cannot be a 1099. You must be a W-2. Now, this is impacting, of course, welcome lobbyists. Okay, this is impacting all sorts of industries. Truckers in California who used to be 1099s are now required to be W-2. Now, Tax Goddess practices out of Arizona. There's no way I would ever be caught dead in California for cases like this. The rules and regulations just are, in my opinion, insane, right? They are literally destroying businesses' ability to run a business. Now, I want to start this without going on a rant. We're going to start this with some background, with some data here. So let's look at this. Let's start with looking at this from the business owner's perspective. So if you have W-2 staff, okay, you are required to pay them. If you have benefits in the company, you are required to share benefits. If you are employing them, depending on the number of hours, you do have to do FICA and Medicare. You have to pay payroll taxes, at least half of the payroll taxes in 95% of cases. You are expected, you can see here, the W-2 employment may be terminated at will. That is determined on the state. So be very, very careful about that. California, for example, is not at will. Arizona is at will. There's quite a few things here that as an employer, when you have W-2 staff, it's more expensive for the employer than having a 1099. Because if I can hire, let's just say we're doing a $100,000 person here, okay? If I can hire a 1099 for $100,000, I pay $100,000. That's how much money leaves my pocket. If I have to do an employee, a W-2, that $100,000 is $100,000 plus 7.65% FICA and Medicare taxes. So it's another $7,600 plus benefits, plus 401k, plus whatever else that you have on top for that employee. Okay, HR, unemployment benefits. There's quite a lot of these kind of intangible things, other costs that are going into a W-2. Now, from a business owner's perspective, having everyone on your team work as 1099s is amazing. That's great because when I pay $100,000, that's it. I've paid you, my contractor, my 1099, $100,000. It's your responsibility to buy your own health insurance. It's your responsibility to buy your own medical care. It's your responsibility to pay your taxes. Okay, the 7.5% that is the employer on the W-2 side, 7.65, sorry. But 7.65 on the employer side and the 7.65 on the employee side, right? So you're basically paying the full 15.3% of the FICA and Medicare taxes. So the 1099 from the business owner's perspective is generally, from a pure money standpoint, is generally much more beneficial, okay? Now, the downsides to having a 1099, right? Typically, 1099s must be contracted for a very specific project or a period of time, right? So your contract is a 1-year contract, or your contract is a 5-year contract, whatever that is. Contractors decide, 1099 contractors decide when and where to work. So you can't tell a 1099 contractor, you must come work from the office. You can't do that. That makes them required work schedule and location, right? That makes them a W-2. 1099 does not receive skills or training. They're supposed to be hired with that, right? They're coming to be able to do that already. They don't have to attend meetings, okay? They don't require specialized skills that are the clients, if it's you, the primary service, okay? Contractors can negotiate and set their own rates, including fixed price amounts, right? So all of these things here, they have multiple clients. You can't say you can only work for me, right? That leads to full-time and exclusivity, normally leads to a W-2. So from a business perspective, as a business owner, you might have a mix between some people are 1099 and some people are W-2. Now, again, we're excluding California because, of course, as of filming this video, February 2nd of 2023, California's laws are effectively saying that everyone must be a W-2. There is no longer a 1099. Now, you may be asking, well, where does the federal government come into this, right? Because, we're talking about the state levels here. The federal government generally pushes towards W-2. They want everyone to be a W-2. That of course means that they get, every time somebody gets paid, they get their payroll taxes, right? The government likes getting paid and paid in advance and withholding taxes, income taxes, all of that kind of stuff in advance. Effectively, the employee and the business is giving the government an interest-free loan. So the federal government prefers W-2s. They are starting to do audits, right? So, I'm sure everyone has now seen that the federal government, the IRS, is hiring about 87,000 agents. Of that, they are beefing up audits on 1099 and W-2 because this is a low-hanging fruit. There's a lot of small businesses, especially, and this is the part that always kills me. There's a lot of small businesses that start with their staff in the 1099 category because they don't have necessarily full-time work. They don't have, specific work schedules, locations. Well, as the company grows, at some point, you may need to convert somebody from 1099 to W-2 when you start to meet more and more and more of these W-2 requirements. Now, I do want to say, I want to make sure that you do not take today's video as the full and final list of these requirements. You always, always, always want to speak with your CPA and with your professional team about these differences, okay, the 1099 W-2. Now, I want to switch over to if you are the staff member, okay, you're not the business owner, you're the person actually getting paid. In my opinion, you absolutely want to be a 1099 because if you are a 1099, you are effectively, in the eyes of the government, you are effectively a business, which means that you can write off almost any tax strategy, right? You can pay your kids, you can take a home office, you can write off your car, your cell phone, you can write off meals with your clients, right? You can write off equipment. You need to buy a new laptop to become your own business, right? To become your own contractor. All of these expenses are now business expenses. And so the IRS, of course, wants you to be a W-2, right? Because on a W-2 side, there are very few. There are some, but there are very few strategies for W-2 people, right? People that get a W-2, even if, like during COVID, for example, everybody thought that the federal government was going to give an allowance for those that had to work at home that were W-2. They did not. W-2 people are not expected to have any expenses for the business of any kind, right? They're expected to show up, work, get their money, and that's that, okay? So if you are the staff member, you really want to be a 1099. This is where you want to be, okay? You do not want to be a W-2. Now, if the business owner wants you to be a 1099 and you want to be a 1099, why doesn't everybody just go 1099, right? Well, as we've been saying, the federal government likes W-2. They like their money in advance. They like their payroll taxes in advance for Social Security. They really like collecting that money. They don't want to have to come to you later and say, oh, by the way, you haven't paid us. please pay us, right? Please pay quarterly estimates, these kinds of things. Okay. Now, as a staff member, if you are a 1099, you are in fact a business. Okay, so that means you need to treat it like a business. We always recommend, 95% of the time, we recommend a separate entity. So an LLC, separate bank account. You need to maintain bookkeeping. You've got potentially payroll taxes for yourself that you need to pay depending on how much you make here as a 1099. So what I will say is that people that, if the business owner can classify you as a 1099 and you want to be classified as a 1099, go 1099. Okay, that is absolutely the best route, that from a tax perspective, right? As far as reducing your taxes using legal and above board tax strategies. I mean, you guys know that's what we do here at Tax Goddess. We write tax strategies. We save people huge money, right? $740,000 million, $740 million in tax money. This is our dream. This is what we do. But if you are the kind of person, I just want to go to work, I want to come home, 5 o'clock, I turn off that computer, I come home and I'm done. I don't have to worry about it. I want my life simple. I just want to pay the government whatever they want and let them take, their percentage, and that's fine. And what I make is what I make. A W-2 might be a better choice for you, right? You guys know I will always tell you the truth. I will always give you the straight away opinion. So this may be, if that's who you are as a person, a W-2 may be a better choice for you. 1099, being a business owner, is not for the faint of heart. Okay, so I'm sorry this was a much longer video than we normally film, but I think this was really, really important to cover. So I've left this up on the screen for you, and I'm going to blow this up even more. Can I blow this up anymore? No, we're kind of stuck with the size it is. If you want a copy of our breakdown of 1099 versus W-2, it will include this image. Please just reach out to us. You can book a call with our team, taxgoddess.com. If you are a business owner and you're not clear about your people, ask, right? We'd be happy to talk to you about this. If you are a 1099 yourself and you qualify for all of these awesome tax strategies, reach out to us. This is what we do. We would love to help you reduce your taxes by using tax strategies as a 1099, as a business owner. So sorry for the mini rant today, guys, but wanted to bring you some pretty powerful, like I said, I really, really like this diagram. So again, number one, how have you been contracted? Is it forever, like you're working for us forever, or it's a project time specific? What's the schedule and location of work? Whose tools are they? Are they company tools or your tools? Do you need training, right? Do you need to attend meetings and give reports? What is the work itself, right? Are there specialized skills or not specialized skills? Are you paid hourly? Are there minimum wages, or can you negotiate your own rates? Are you reimbursed for work expenses, or are you responsible for paying for those? That's a big one. Okay. Do you have to work only for the client, for the company, or can you work for whoever you want? And then one of the big things here at the bottom is, if you're a 1099 and you're a business owner, technically you should be able to replace yourself with somebody else that can get the work done. You can delegate the tasks to somebody else, okay? Versus as a W-2, you must perform the work personally. So guys, I hope today was helpful for you. I'm going to leave this up here on the screen until I wrap up. I hope today was helpful for you. We get this question a ton, over and over and over again. Should my people be 1099? Should they be W-2? Which way should we go with this? The one thing that I will say is there are quite a lot of employment labor firms popping up here, okay, especially in California. So if you are in California, please double check this with your CPA. Reach out to your tax strategy team, which direction? taxgoddess.com, right there. Reach out to your tax strategy team. Make sure which one, where do I fall? Now, one of the other comments, okay, before I finalize today, like I said, I'm sorry this is such a long video. What happens, Shauna? What happens if one of my people fits 5, there's 10 things here. What if they fit 5 things on the 1099 side and fit 5 things on the W-2 side? Perfect split, right? 50-50. This is really where it comes down to what they call facts and circumstances, okay? How does your staff member believe themselves to be, right? So you may think, oh yeah, it's 5 on this side and 5 on this side. But if your staff member got interviewed by the IRS, for example, or the state of California, how would they respond to these questions? Okay, that might lean you more W-2, that might lead you more 1099. Realize that if the IRS were to come in and audit, let's talk about that. And let's say you had all of your people on W-2, you're fine. The IRS is perfectly happy that you're reporting absolutely everyone on W-2, okay? But if the IRS were to come in and audit and you've got everybody on 1099, some of the things that can happen, okay? Payroll taxes, because this is for the government, this is really about payroll taxes, okay? Payroll taxes is one of the two. There's payroll taxes and sales taxes. Both of those can be assigned personally to you as a business owner, okay? So what does that mean, Shauna, right? If you got into an audit, and let's say you had $1 million worth of payroll, okay? 15.3%, and there's lots of factors that go into that, but just for ease of today's conversation, 15.3% of $1 million worth of payroll over an entire year is $153,000, okay? You would be personally responsible to pay $153,000 for every year, all of them, every year that your staff was supposed to be W-2s and not 1099s, okay? Now, I have seen some very nasty cases about this. The IRS actually going in and personally attaching liens to people's business owners, homes, repoing cars. I've seen all sorts of things, okay? So this is one of those things that you do want to be very cautious about. You want to ask questions about. You really, really, if you are not sure and you feel worried about it, default to W-2, okay? The government would love to have your money in advance, default to W-2, okay? The other kind of pitfall that we have seen here is when you have the same job role, the exact same job role, where one of the job role people, so two identical, let's say they're salespeople, two identical salespeople, they sell to the same industry, they sell to the same level, to the same niche, like identical jobs, okay? One is being paid W-2 and one is being paid 1099. The government, in 90% of cases, will allocate both of them to being W-2. Okay. And I'm realizing there's one other question that normally comes up. I hope you guys are having patience with me. I appreciate it. As a tax goddess, I love information and I love bringing that information to you guys. So one other question that we get fairly frequently is, well, okay, so if somebody gets reallocated W-2, 1099, yes, you could absolutely be on hook for all those payroll taxes. Okay, so that could come down the pipeline for you. But yeah, one of the other questions that we get really frequently is, well, Shauna, like, I have been doing 1099 and I'm really worried about this. And, should I switch everybody to W-2 right now? Like, what should I be doing? Again, what I would do, honestly, take a screenshot. Take a screenshot of this, okay? Print it out. Put it in the file for each of your teammates, okay, your staff members. And if you determine that you have been doing 1099, you really should be doing W-2, fix it right now. Get it fixed right away, okay? Call your HR company, get them on W-2. That could cause problems with things like retirement plans. If you have a medical expense reimbursement plan, if you have accountable plans, all of these types of tax strategies can be implemented by or modified if you have 1099s versus W-2s. Okay, so definitely double check this with your CPA, with your tax strategist if you have questions on this. And yeah, of course, if you don't have a CPA or you don't have a tax strategist, either one, both of the above, we would love to work with you here at Tax Goddess. So definitely just reach out to the team and I. You can find us at taxgoddess.com. Happy to chat with you and go through any of your questions. All right, thanks so much. Hope you're having a great day and we'll talk to y'all later. All right, thanks guys. Bye.